Hello and good afternoon, good day, good night, whatever time it might be in your time zone. And welcome back to Everyday Shamanism with our host, Andrea Galvin. And thank you for being here again, Andrea. Everyone's excited about what you've got more to tell us about.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, you know what? Hold on. There.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when we had the little show that will never be aired, one of the things that I learned, don't you think that's a great title for that, that experience? I learned that, you can do three-dimensional kinds of motion pieces that go into PowerPoint. So that part is, I wanted to be sure. Man, I worked really hard to find the water flowing. So I want to be sure it gets shown in this show. So, and I want to thank, after the second show, I've been getting emails from people excited about the ideas and looking forward to other ideas. And anyone who's watching this, we are light workers. We are all one. There's no hierarchy. There's not like stars or anything like that. And we all are really multi-talented. And so as new ideas are introduced by some of the things that I'm running across, I'm hoping other people will also come forward with some of the ideas. And I really am looking forward to having discussion with people that are watching on some of these ideas. The last time, well, in our last show, I shared that Susan Lynn's idea of a card a day. I've been doing that now now it's into my third month, and I've been pulling a card a day. And in the first 30 days, I was using the dreams of Gaia Tarot, and what I noticed was a pattern. And I thought, why is this pattern developing? And Spirit has given me everything that we've talked about so far. And what the pattern that has emerged, and we talked about this in the last show, we talked about knowledge and wisdom, and the knowledge was how we got to know what we know, and then the wisdom was the application. Today we're going to cover healing, love, union, and abundance, and always around why are we here? But for me, it's been a questioning my whole life of why I'm here. Why am I here? I kind of knew that there was something more than just what I was experiencing, but I didn't know what that was. And I kept saying, why am I here? Why am I experiencing this? And the first part of that is healing. And I thought, wow, the idea of healing, the question that came into my mind is it the finite nature of individual lifetimes on this planet that defines the need to heal our experiences on Earth as part of the Earth experience? What that means is I was really aware that I had that what made me alive was something besides just my body. And, being raised in a Catholic environment, I called it soul. And I knew that I had soul. And so when the ideas of past lifetimes and all that, I started to have awareness of all of that phenomena. If as a soul I'm coming back and forth, the thing is that I'm coming to the planet as an infinite soul, and I'm having a defined period of time on a physical planet, and that the journey is to have the earthly experiences, but remember where I came from and what I was of, and then incorporate that into soul. So in terms of the physical healing, no coincidences, I had to, as a soul, I got down and dirty with understanding the concept of disease, and the idea of addiction gave me put the hyphen between dis and ease, and uncomfortable in my own skin. And I now understand, because I have an awareness that I'm a soul in a physical body having a physical experience, the earth isn't always very comfortable. In fact, most of the time it's not very comfortable. My life lesson is to get comfortable with it and to incorporate and become one. And the whole idea of uncomfortable in my skin, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of who I am. And the thing that is it's really a hopeful and an empowering thing about this is that the physical piece, and in the show that will never be aired, we kind of talked about, I think you were just coming out of feeling really not physically well, but your soul, boy, you had just gotten involved with the, the modality of,
Yeah.
oh my God, it just
Reiki. Yeah.
Reiki, yes.
Yeah.
And your vibration, you were glowing on that show.
Yeah.
I was like, well, your body's needing to take a rest, but my God, girl, you're vibrating at a soul level, and the emotional and mental. It seems like when our spiritual is high energy or high vibratory, for me, my emotional and my mental usually is a little higher too. So if as a light worker, and we're all light workers, if you're watching this, if your physical is off, you can take, for me, I go to the spiritual, I go to the mental, I go to the emotional aspects of myself that may be healthier or more able to, I can work with that. And maybe my physical body just needs to rest, or there's actual cellular reorganization. And the thing is to be aware. And I actually think that we hold in ourselves cellular memory, and it's not just the physical piece. I think it's the mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I even, I've heard of people from other lifetimes who may have like a pain, say, in their side, and then they go back in another lifetime and they were shot
in that spot.
That spot. So the cellular memory that and every cell has all of the information to make one of us. And when I was kind of struggling around, the whole thing of God and how am I with this and all of that, I said, I need to understand this better. And I was given a dream. And when I woke up from the dream, I saw the DNA, the symbol of the DNA. And then I saw Dolly the sheep. And I'm like, well, I don't know if this is supposed to be helpful or not, but I'm not getting it. And whoever is, my guides, I now understand, they said one cell was taken from Dolly's mom and made a Dolly.
That's right.
Yes. And we are God cells.
Right.
That I have all of the essence of God, but cells have memory and I think free will. And like one of my skin cells has had the memory and made the conscious decision to be a skin cell and not like a bone cell or not like a nerve cell. So if we look at ourselves in the collective whole, we are God cells.
That's right.
I'm not God in God's entirety. I'm one aspect of that. And how I'm manifesting as a God cell is Andrea Galvin in this lifetime. And the cool part is when we get to meet up with our other God cells. That's what's really fun at this point for me.
Absolutely.
Yes. The other aspect of this healing, the whole concept of healing and why would I be on this planet, and it's to experience this healing phenomena. And I was aware that, there's many paths to healing disease and the alternative healing arts. And I see that as a session in the future with panel discussion. And, of course, you with Reiki and maybe including your Reiki teacher. But it's the coolest thing. There's all these people that are watching and that are light workers that have all these talents and areas of healing that I've never even heard of. And I can see this fabulous panel discussion with
I
all
agree.
these interesting healing arts for our community to be able to learn about,
Mhm.
discuss, and investigate. So that's really exciting for me. I mean,
Yeah,
this
I
whole
agree.
this series is unveiling itself. Um, and the quantum physics healing, we kind of knew that was, I mean, that's been floated around, but I actually have two examples of quantum physics healing in my own life. One of the things that I'm in the middle of doing right now is I had mercury fillings, and if mercury leaks, it actually destroys jawbone, which is what happened for me. And so I had jawbone that was missing. I didn't even know that until a dentist, took an X-ray. And I've been able to hook up with Stanford Medical School, and I'm with one of he's the head of facial reconstruction and dentistry, and we're doing stem cell growth of jawbone. I mean, I'm growing jawbone from stem cells. Who would have,
Wow.
yes, who would have thought that was but that's a real thing. And at
Hmm?
Stanford, I'm part of this whole little collective group, and, they take us in, and I'm in the process right now of waiting for jawbone to grow. And then the next part of, the dental surgery where I'm going to have implants and stuff like that. But that's one of the quantum physics healing.
How wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
And the other one was when I had my heart attack, which was, oh gosh, I think I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago. At that point, I was getting acupuncture, and the woman that I was getting acupuncture, oh my God, she's a fabulous person. And she also had gongs. And I'm not going to go into a lot of information about the gongs now, because we're going to talk about music and vibration and all that on another show too. But one of the gongs, which was called Cedra, was from the Hubble telescope. It was one of the last 4 planets that was seen, and they recorded all the soundings off of these 4 planets, and one of the planets was Cedra. And I had gone to, and my acupuncturist used to have these gong meditations, and I went and I was behind Cedra, and it was my very first experience. And as she started to play, when she was like at Cedra, what actually ended up happening was this energy manifested itself, like it was between Cedra and myself, and it was sort of like a dark energy. I didn't feel afraid, but it was about 7 feet tall, and it went up and over my head. And I thought, well, this is kind of crazy. I'm thinking everybody's having this experience. Everybody's experiencing that there's this dark being that is, over my head, feels very protective, but there's also a fierceness to it. So anyway, Arlene finished the gong piece, and the lights came on, and I went over and I said, and Cedra was still with me. That energy was still with me. I said, wow, who would have thought that you come for gong meditation, and you kind of get like a being, like an angel or something that is with you. And she said, Andrew, what are you talking about? I've heard that so many times in my life. Sandra, she's like right here. And she said, Andrea, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, it's okay. And then I said, or I thought said to Cedra, you're going to be with me. And, there was an affirmation of that. And Cedra left the building with me and stayed with me.
Okay.
And still is with me today. I now know that energy is part of my whole guides.
Wow.
But the cool part about this, well, and an example of what Cedra did, and from the story from when I had bear paws, God, I sure hope I actually talked about that, and it's not on the show that will never be aired. But anyway,
No, I think it was on the very first one we did.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
my cat was teaching me how to use my bear paws,
Hmm.
and she was up on my bed, and I was getting tired, and I thought, oh, I really want to, and I use a CPAP, and I thought I really want to, go to
Hmm.
sleep, but I didn't want to like reach over my cat. And Cedra was always next to my bed. The 7-foot energy was always right there, and it felt really reassuring. It's like, well, I don't know, nothing's going to get to me because Cedra's there. And Sadie, my cat, was very comfortable with that. Well, as soon as I thought, wow, I'd like to turn my CPAP on, but I don't want to like lean over the cat and bother the cat. The CPAP turned on. And Sadie looked at me and I looked at her and I'm like, whoa, I didn't turn that on. And it was like Sadie looked at me like, I know you didn't turn that on. And then she looked up at Cedra.
Hmm.
And I realized that Cedra had turned the CPAP on. So I thought,
Wow.
okay, this is an energy that I can actually call on and use.
To help you. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was shortly after that, and I'd already had my heart attack. It was shortly after that that I had the dream that and the information which kind of connected to, the whole God cell and how we are of God and all of that. And I had the dream about the energy, how energy could shift my heart.
Uh-huh.
In a quantum physics kind of way. And every 7 years, our cells replenish themselves. But what ends up happening is that a cell duplicates exactly the DNA information that that cell contains. So if I have a damaged cell, it's going to duplicate a damaged cell. What I was given in the dream was between acupuncture and Cedra, the gong, that if those two were worked together in conjunction with each other, that what would happen is the cells in my damaged heart would shift and change, literally.
Hmm.
And so I got a hold of my acupuncturist, and I said, I just had this dream, and I said, it sounds, and all my healers, if you don't have healers that are working with you at the level you want to work at, man, look for other people. All the people in my life, including heart doctors and surgeons and all of that, they're all like, they all can like be on the same level that I'm functioning at now. And I said, what I saw is acupuncture and Cedra. And she said, oh my God, she said that could shift a cell at a cellular level. So for 8 weeks, once a week, I went to her office, and she did the needles for acupuncture. She hooked me up with the wires, which that's common stuff that happens in acupuncture. But then literally next to my bed, she played Cedra for about an hour each time. And I had images of my heart after the heart attack. And I asked my doctor to also do an image of my heart after. It didn't go back to like a normal, I mean, it's not like a brand new heart, but it's different. It looks different. And a part where I know exactly where the severe damage was in my heart, that's shifted.
Wow.
So as my cell, as the cells in my heart replicate, I'm not replicating the severe damage, I'm replicating what has transpired as a result of just that little bit of experiment that we did with Cedra and the acupuncture. It's cutting edge. It's going to go way beyond that in Ascension. Oh my God, who knows where it's all going to go. But those are 2 examples of quantum physics healing. And it's so cool because my Massachusetts doctors, my heart doctor and the surgeon, when I said what I was doing and they were willing to take the picture of the heart, they're like, holy cow, this is like right on the edge of quantum physics healing. This is what that is meant, that healing at a molecular energy level will meet with physical healing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I want to talk about just really briefly is what we call exit time. And that's the time when we pass and go, we leave the planet. And I've done a little bit of reading on that. And apparently there's more than one time where we have exits, and even in mass leavings, that it could be a whole soul group that makes the decision to heal. I mean, not heal, leave.
Yeah.
And I actually had an experience with that with the Korean airliner when that was shot down. I was part of working with those souls that were kind of confused about like what just happened, and we're not on the planet anymore and we're not sure what to do. I was part of with another person shifting that energy and collectively bringing that soul energy so that it could begin the transition. So the whole idea of soul groups or individual souls. And when we talk about soul contracts, the thing that I realized is our soul contract may be with other souls, but it's also with the creator energy. The creator energy and us individually have we have a soul contract, and it's negotiable, which is kind of cool. And this is like as a result of, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before that, I'm a part of a practice group, and if there's light workers that are listening and want to be involved in practicing any of the things that you're learning, if you're psychic and you need a community, at the end we'll have my email again. Send me an email. I am getting emails from people, and one of the things, I'm not a shaman, but I'm a shamanic practitioner. And one of the roles is I kind of feel like a referral agent or something. If people are something, I usually can get you to the help that you need.
Yep.
So anyway, our group, our practitioner group, one of my psychic sisters has COVID, and she came and was sharing some of the information that she was getting around COVID. And what we often do as a group, a practice group, is when there's something that comes up, we collectively in that practice session, we work together, and then information comes in, and they call it a psychic jump when you're connecting. We have psychic jumps all the time, and what we end up doing is bringing in a picture that is greater. So I want to share with people what I personally got based on some of the information that one of my psychic sisters, the one that had COVID, brought in. One of the things I got, and it was a difficult truth for me to actually take in, is that the non-mask compliance around COVID is based upon a collective devaluation and lack of care for others. There's a core of selfishness, right, that is at the very core of non-mask compliance. It's not, you're sick and you can't get a vaccination. It's like, I'm not going to do it, and I really don't care what happens to other people. And it is a collective disconnect to the oneness of all. The other part is, and this was like hard for me to hear, and it was given to me, the occurrence that often gets human attention is death. And especially if the death is a personal experience, whether it's somebody close or if we've passed and it's like we have, I could have had a V8 moment on the other side.
Oops, too little, too late.
Yeah. And that the death component of COVID will continue as the virus shifts until the consciousness rises within the human community to the point that we begin to care about the oneness of us all. It doesn't mean we all have to be there, but what I saw a while ago was in this ascension energy, and the reason that all of us as light workers have come and why we're all kind of gathering together is that we're getting ourselves strong for the group,
right,
that they're 3D and they're not operating on a 4D and 5D ideology. And we're the ones, it won't be everybody, but the consciousness needs to shift to the oneness and the connection of all or we will continue to have this virus. It won't be the what's happening now, what I can't, the Omicron, it's not going to be that. It'll be a new shift of the virus, and it will continue to shift until we get the point of this, that this is actually, it's manifesting physically, but it is a spiritual disease.
It has to be a paradigm shift. It has to reach that amount, which, yeah, absolutely.
And it's really practical.
Yeah, it is.
So in our, I know for me, I have family members that I disconnected from, and I have to like get over my anger. I have to get over my feeling bad, or, feeling insulted or whatever. I have to get over that in order to reach out to literally my blood sisters. And because I know at least there's 3 of them, and at least 2 of them are going to be part of that 3D that are confused and scared. I don't know if I'll be the one to help them. It might be other of us, but it's really important for us as light workers to be aware of that. And so, yelling at people and all of that is not going to do it. And the healthier we get as light workers, the greater the bridges. We're going to be building bridges to these people. The hope and the help around COVID, the healing symptoms that plague various organs or systems in the body can be addressed at a spiritual energy level. And the sister that had COVID, she talked about a white energy and then a pink and a blue energy that came through. And when we did our collective, I was given, the blue was the symbol for the spiritual, and the pink was going to be the symbol for the physical. But then I was shown the chakras, and there are actual energies that are related to the color of the chakras, and there are healing energies or beings or whatever you want to call them. I don't know for sure what they are, but that energy is there for healing. And those energies or entities are going to be not going to be, they are available, and they reverberate or shimmer at the color frequencies of the chakras. And when my sister, my psychic sister, was explaining, what the energy was that she was seeing, it was the shimmering of the blue and a shimmering of the pink, and then this white shimmering that seemed to be like the collective whole thing.
Beautiful.
And that we can, if there's and especially around COVID and with long-term COVID, we don't actually know what the physical ramifications of this are going to be. But as we identify parts of our body that are physically affected, or if we have other diseases and we can identify in our body where that physical disease is, we can bring in the energy beings of that particular chakra along with the white being for healing at a soul level. We'll still need to do the physical, but if you look at the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, it'll be a blending. It'll be a quantum physics kind of healing.
Wow.
Is what that point is. And that the bright white entities are working in mass on a large scale. And I think for me, there's going to be more information about that. The next part of why we're on the planet is love. And the funny thing about love, every psychic that has people, they come, they're like, oh, who's my next relationship? Who am I going to marry? Where's my boyfriend? Am I going to be alone? And it drives it's what, they make a living on that, but it's like not the most important aspect, but it's always that piece. And I think part of that is actually connected to being souls that are here on this physical plane, and how hard it is to be here. And so we're looking for connection. When we're out of our body and we're in with other souls at a soul level, we're moving in and out with all that. We come down here to the physical plane. We actually have to work hard to make connection with those around us. And so we aren't necessarily very skilled at it. And so we're looking for, who's the person that's going to be like where I'm going to be connected. The thing that I was thinking about was, and I run it through my own processes, where did I get my information about relationships? Some people have fabulous parents and they have wonderful role models of how to do relationships. But that was not my experience. Though my mom and dad finally got divorced, thank God. And it was when I was 19 years old. And I said to my mom, "Why did you wait so long?" She said, "Well, I stayed together for the kids." And I'm like, "Mom,
Oh,
that was
bad
not
idea.
yeah,
Yep.
not brilliant." However, at the end of my mother and father's life, when I was trying to do some healing work with my father, and I actually wrote him a letter, he didn't understand the letter. Who did he take the letter to for explanation? My mom.
Mhm.
And my mom sat down and they had a real soul to soul talk about who I was and how they didn't see me as a kid. And my mother was actually able to share that with me. And that was powerful for me to know that all that other time didn't even almost matter, because at the end, those two souls came together, I think, to complete their soul contract, which was cool. Who are, and this is for the people watching, who were our role models for healthy and unhealthy relationships? And the question about how long are our soul contracts? Is it, if you marry and make it legal, is it, when one person dies, is it like multi-lifetimes? I don't have any of those answers, but those are the kind of cool questions. We're making our own support groups, and that's where having discussion, if you have groups where you're doing mediumship work or whatever, those are the kind of questions that are kind of fun, because when you get the psychic jumps, that spirit's giving you real information. So I offer that for the people watching to start engaging in all of that. The other part that I was aware of are, I created, or I held on to untruths. And it's okay to hold on to an untruth, because the untruth kept me alive. However, once I'm aware that it's an untruth, I need to seek the truth and shift that and heal and take the real thing. What that removes is good, bad, go to heaven, go to hell. It's not about any of that. It's not that black and white, thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a continuum of awareness and moving towards the God part of who we are in this earthly body. Some of the untruths that people, and oh my God, I love my friends that are reading people now. When these are some of the things that they get, they're looking for the relationship that's going to make me whole, or my better half, or together we're going to make a whole person. And the thing that I'm aware of is that may actually be true, but it's just for that snap of a time. It may not be forever, because we're growing and changing. And so if I grow and change, to me, I have some friends that are gorgeous women, gorgeous men, hallelujah, they're gorgeous. Well, guess what? If somebody loses a leg, or you start to get old, if it's only based on that,
right,
where do you hold on to that? If somebody loses a leg, or somebody is impotent, great, we're connected because we have great sex. Well, guess what? As you age, especially for men, it doesn't work the same.
right.
So if that's what brings you together only in your young life, you're going to have to renegotiate that. And if there's nothing else besides this really superficial stuff, it's going to fall apart, and it can leave one feeling lonely at the end of their life with who's with me when I get ready to pass. Because in the end, that soul to soul connection is what we're really looking for. The other part is soulmates and soul groups. I believe there are soulmates, but I don't think that there's only one soulmate. Because I know for me, I have already met two, and neither one of them, and it's so weird, because we could have had a relationship, we could have maybe put it together, but it would not have been a healthy one. It would have been based on some of the false stuff. And we knew that we were on the planet to help each other along this soul journey and not to get together as a couple. And the whole thing about soul groups, you know, if we're in a collective soul group, does that change? Are there other situations in other lifetimes where we have maybe all come to the planet and left the planet at the same time? The other piece with the unhealthy love, it's love based upon need, the whole thing of addiction and codependence. And I highly recommend people like go to Codependence Anonymous and look at the actual information about what codependence is. It keeps us from our souls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what all addiction is about, is wanting to fill that God hole. And the only thing that we can fill the God hole with is God.
Right.
And we are God's cells, which means we actually, the more I know about my God self, and I connect with other people that know about their God self, the more my God hole fills. And so I don't have to go to that codependent place. The other thing is the repeating patterns. If you've not had good role models and you've had some relationships that have been, there's no failures, it's they're life lessons. But if there's a pattern of not feeling successful in it, the chances that you're going to repeat that, unless you take time to examine it and to really delve into it from a soul perspective, you're going to repeat it. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. Or they're exactly like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the counseling, I've worked as a counselor, and I'm qualified to work as a counselor and all of this stuff. One of the things I do with the people that I work with is, let's find the repeating pattern so you don't have to do that again. The other thing with addictions is running partners. And it doesn't matter if it's alcohol or drugs or gambling or whatever. We all have running partners in order to be active in our addictions. And if you make a choice that, I'm not going to say drinking is my thing. I find all my drinking buddies and we have a really good time. We go on Friday, I get shit-faced. And then if I get to the point where it's starting to be problematic and maybe there's some jackpots I'm falling into and I decide, I'm not going to do that anymore, my running partners fall away, and then I'm feeling alone. And so the need to recreate a support system is what happens. It's always, we're looking for that soul support. But because we have untruths that actually kept us alive, the only way that we get to examine that is to say, okay, it is an untruth. I don't have to say it's a bad thing. I just want to find the truth and make a shift and an awareness of that. And the awareness, when you become aware that you're kind of growing out of a relationship, and what do? Can you rekindle it and all of that? There is no right or wrong answer to it, but it needs to be a consciousness. And the thing about ascension energy is it's consciousness. So we don't have to, we aren't damned and we aren't sainted. We just want to be conscious of our choices, because the beauty of this, when we come down as a soul, is we get to have all kinds of choices. The thing is, we don't know we have choices until we know. You don't know until you know, and you don't know until you
yeah.
I want to see if I have a choice in this. So there's love based on need, which is where a lot of us are. It's where a lot of us go to the people to do cards when we're saying, will I have a relationship? Who's my next person? To the universal love. And and again, that's our soul and the awareness of my little God self is a part of the great I am. It's a part of all of you. It's a part of the one. It's the part of we are. And that's a very different way of looking at love compared to the love based on need. So I want to put those ideas out for people to talk about. Talk with your family members, talk with your friends, talk with your support network about some of these ideas, because I have absolute 100% surety that Creator is going to give us the information we need in the ascension. The next one union. And these are the daily decisions in our consciousness. And these are questions that I have come to for my own self. When I open my eyes in the morning, I ask myself, well, am I moving on or am I moving off the planet today? With every choice we make, it's I got 1 foot on the planet or 1 foot off the planet. With what I eat, what I think, who I hang out with, what my actions are, all of that. And to remember that with the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, if I have one area that if I've had some upsetting news and I'm emotionally distraught, that's part of the human condition. That's part of what my soul is going to go through. But I then go up to looking at the physical, the mental. What are the thoughts? Can I bring in some other thoughts, or where can I get some other thoughts? Can I connect it with my soul? And then I answer before I get out of bed, am I on or am I off? That's not to say if I'm saying, well, I'm off today. It's not to say I can't change my mind tomorrow or even change my mind partway through the day. But it is a collective, am I on or am I off? And we don't think about it that way, but that really is our as we open our eyes in the morning, that's the question. And then the other question is, am I a part of or apart from? And am I a part of society? Am I a part of my family, my social groups? The experiences for those of us who have been around mean girls or bullies, I wasn't a part of them.
Right.
And I made a decision that if I thought you might be a mean girl, I wasn't going to give you a chance to find out if you were or you weren't. Again, it was my judgment. So making the decision, am I a part of and am I apart from? And for me, it's that prejudgment of I'm judging you and I'm judging myself. And that totally precludes being a part of the great I am, or the universal love. The whole remembering and reassembling of our tribe, and our tribes are changing. And that's something my little practice groups, we talk about all the time, that we are totally aware that we are a tribe at this point. Are we all going to be together like in a year? I don't know, but it doesn't even matter because I'm here in the now.
That's right.
And they are my tribe. And Aley, you are part of my tribe. The people that watch your channel are part of my tribe. We are assembling our tribe in the ascension time.
And it feels good.
It sure does feel good. It's wonderful. And I tell you, the people that are reaching out, I am meeting the most astounding, gifted people. Yep. They don't have YouTube channels. They're as talented as anybody that does have a YouTube channel. And see, that's the other part of making that judgment. Am I a part of or apart from? I remember somebody getting a hold of me and sending me a letter and asking me a question, and they gave me their phone number, and I called them and they went, oh, you called me? And I'm like, why wouldn't I call? You gave me your phone number, for God's sake. Of course I'm going to call you. They said, I just didn't think you'd call. We all have to call. We don't have stars. There are no, we don't have a Academy Award for people who are,
there's no hierarchy in spirituality, or there should not be. If somebody asks for that, then that's not freely given.
Well, yep. In 12-step program, ego.
Yep.
The acronym, easing God out. If my ego is involved, I've eased God out, and I've, spotlight on me, not spotlight on, wow, you take a look at this collective body, and I get to be, we get to decide what cell we're going to be.
That's right.
I might not want to be an armpit cell. I might want to say,
there are worse.
Oh, well, and the cells, the human beings that work totally contrary to the body, because that was part of the dream too that I got, because I was like, well, what about like the Jeffrey Dahmers and the people like that? And that was actually answered to me. Cells can make a collective consciousness to become a cancer cell, which then works against the contrary of the whole, the health of the whole. So, 45 his soul made a conscious choice. Now, maybe he's one of those bad teachers like Tommy Laurie was. If you don't know who Tommy Laurie is, go back and watch.
I think I'd rather have Tommy Laurie on that.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, to make a choice to go contrary to the health of the whole.
Right. Yeah.
That is what cancer cells do.
They are.
And so that model still stands fully. And that was actually part of that dream too. So the remembering, if I put myself out of being a member of society, and you and I talked a little bit before we started this today, I have sisters that I'm estranged from, and I'm still kind of mad at them. That's not going to heal that.
Right.
That's not, I am not going to be able to be that bridge for them to cross, because the belief system that they had is falling apart because it's not of God.
Right.
The money, property, prestige, power, and all the isms, racism, sexism, capitalism, all the isms. I have this sense that people who follow the leaders that are manifesting the isms, it's because they themselves have a truth about that they're not willing to look at or let go, which it's not for me to judge, but that is a consciousness about that. And once they look at that and say, wow, that's like off, and that's not what I want my soul, the rest of my life, I don't want my soul to be a part of that.
Right.
That's when the building of the bridge between light workers who we're working in towards 4D, 5D, and the 3D people are. And so the reassembling and remembering, will I be a part of or will they be a part of, will we be able to come back and be part of being a member of, and will we be able to assemble as part of the whole? And the whole thing of, we have to know what our beliefs are, and what were the beliefs of the past, and what are the beliefs that I got handed down as a child. And that's part of our work as light workers, the whole, questioning that stuff without judgment, which is really tough.
Hard to do.
Yeah. Yes.
We've done it our whole life,
Yeah.
Yep.
But to accept it, our family culture, our social mores, what was the American dream? If we look at sexism, and what women were supposed to do or not do, and the choices we had, all of that is up for discussion, and all those isms will be shifting. They will be shifting. And so, I love, like with Susan Lynn, she's dug in, and she said, her soul is like, no, we're going after some of these isms, and I'm going to tell it like it is. And I'm thinking, woo, girl, you are
Yes.
spotlight on you right now. And I send her white light protection.
Right.
Because when you step out and tell the truth the way she's starting to say it,
you got a lot of resistance.
Yeah. I was hung in another lifetime for doing that. So I totally get that piece. The thing about great masters and our teachers, our high level teachers and our guides, that they help us to find our union with others, our union with ourselves, our union with the collective great I am, without judgment. And oh my God, it's really hard to do that. I think this might be the last one, the abundance and the limiting self-beliefs. And it's changing the lens that we use to see the world. How I see the world is based on the lens that I was given as a child, the lens I chose, and growing up as a teenager, some of my lens was Inagata Davida through marijuana smoke.
Right.
It was food. And so shifting how I see the world, I don't regret any of the things I did in addiction, because man, oh man, by tackling that bull by the horns, I have self-awareness and self-acceptance that I would have never had I not. And some of the School of Hard Knocks in the last session where we talked about our education and where we get our information, the School of Hard Knocks, I'm grateful for those lessons. I totally saw probably the title for the name of the school, School of Hard Knocks. And I'm like, I'm going in there. Hey, sign me up. I'm a student in this one. Yeah, the full curriculum.
Wow.
And accepting the full responsibility for that, and then saying, guess what? I'm unenrolling. Thank you for what I learned, but I'm unenrolling at this point.
Right. Time to move on.
That's the freedom of choice.
Right.
And anybody watching this who doesn't feel like they have freedom of choice, I hope this is starting to open up the possibility of freedom of choice, because we do have freedom of choice, even when it doesn't feel like it. Learning to use our shamanic eyes. And I actually have a little story around this. I had one, and this is a kid that is now an adult. He's actually, he works for a sheriff's department. Oh my God, his name is Corey. And he was a nudge. He used to drive me nuts, and he drove all the other kids in the school nuts. And he came in to me, and he was at the point of tears one time. I think he might have been in 7th or 8th grade. And he said, people are making fun of me. And I said, well, what are they saying? And some of the things he said, I thought, yes, true. Yes, true. Yes, true. And thank you, Spirit. It was like, here's what you need to say to him. And I said, Corey, if Joe said to you, Corey, you have a purple face with stripes, what would you do? He'd say, I'd think he was nuts. I said, because no part of you believes that.
Right.
No part of you believes that you have a purple face with stripes. The things that the people are saying where you're walking away in hurt, there is an element of you that believes that too.
Right.
And so if we can embrace, wow, what that person said hurt my feelings and made me not want to or feel apart from or make me want to go away in shame, that's something we want to take a look at. I want to take a look at, and because a part of me believes that. Yeah. So if you're living in pain and feeling less than, it's because there's an element of some of the things that you feel less than that you actually believe. They may or may not be truths. They may be untruths that kept you safe. Or they may be truth. And if it's a truth, we have the choice to shift that and change that. The isms as they're defined by society, racism, sexism, all the isms are up for shifting and changing. And as light workers, we get to be a part of that. The whole thing of scarcity. Am I enough? Are you enough? Is there enough? I grew up feeling like I'm not enough. Either I'm not enough or I felt like I was too big. None of it was right sized. And so the healing piece is becoming right sized. And to take a look at where our models for our belief systems come from, that whole American dream, all of that stuff. It's fun when you examine it from like a philosophical perspective. And then you say, well, I'm not buying that anymore. That's where your freedom comes. And then some of the tools for shifting consciousness. And I don't know where it is. I have an abundance rock. And I suggest people making an abundance rock, a rock that you paint. And my abundance rock, it used to sit on my porch when I lived in Massachusetts, or right inside my door. And every time I went by it, I didn't always have a consciousness of it, but I saw it. And is there enough? Am I enough? Can I ask for? Will my needs be met? That's what an abundance rock is. If you paint a rock with the word abundance, and you put it where you see it, especially as you come in and out. And if you paint that where people who are coming into your house, I can't tell you how many times people would come into my house and they go, what's with the abundance rock? I'd get to talk to them about my journey to, am I enough? Is there enough? The answer is always a resounding yes. What we need is always available. Do we know how to ask? Do we believe? Do we help co-create it? That's where I fall down. And so by looking at the rock, that energy, just having that energy is really important. And the other thing is with our people that are watching this little series on everyday shamanism, to start talking about abundance. Have that be discussions in your little groups with your family, with your kids. You know, we're taking care of our children and our grandchildren or our adult kids. And if you're at the point of you might be homeless or whatever, I've actually had that experience. And did I think that abundance was ever going to be available for me? Nope. And I didn't feel worthy. So duh.
I had the same experience. Yep. And we
So
had the same, the water.
both need a little water. Yep. So, and the other part, the destiny, there was stuff that some had come, but definitely this morning, it was like our destiny is being co-created.
We got 3 minutes left.
Sounds good. So
all right,
we're not doing it. What I am thinking about for future shows, animals and ascension time, and I see that as a panel discussion, power animals, and I have somebody who will be able to do drumming, so we can have that be experiential, and I'll have to work out the details of that. Talking about soul retrieval, and if people are interested in soul retrieval, to get a hold of me through email. The alternative healing practices. And I see that you being a part of that and us having a panel discussion about some of the really cool things that are coming up. The whole idea of sound frequencies and music and gongs and singing bowls and all of that. And there's some other stuff around the hertz that are interesting. Some tips and tools, and then a journey to the upper, middle, and lower worlds. And that, again, I have to work that out and figure out how to do it. But my friend Nancy, who is a shamanic sister that goes way back 30 years, she's willing to come and do drumming and for us to maybe try some kind of a journey.
Wonderful.
That's kind of where I see.
Wow.
And then we will have covered everything that's
good part of it, unless we come up with something else.
Well, and the other part of it is if there are things that people that are watching this, if you have ideas, to put them in the chat, or to put
what you want to know more about.
Yes, and to send me emails. I haven't been able to tell you, but I am getting emails, and so, I got this one from somebody who I adore. Shirley, I kind of look up to her. I read her one time, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to read Shirley. Shoot, she's really good. And I don't really care about it. But I'm getting good feedback.
Good.
This is all stuff for us to be talking about, learning about, growing, and supporting each other in the ascension energy. So
excellent.
That will be it for this show.
That's it for this go. So thank you again, my dear, for all of your wonderful information and explanation. And we will both see you next time when we come back with some more information for you. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for being here with us. Bye-bye, everybody.